So we've arrived here on the MH17 crash site 3 years after the plane was shot down, and those 298 people lost their lives. This location is where the engines came down and scorched this landscape. I've been here every year since then, and for the first 2 years, this area here was not able to grow grass or anything like that. It was a dead zone. But now, 3 years on, things are finally start to be able to grow here. Life is coming back to this land. But 3 years on, even though things are growing, we can still find pieces of MH17. Here's a piece that has some rivets in it and a piece of the hull of the aircraft that clearly was held on here. We're going to continue to search the surrounding areas here and report to you what we can here 3 years on at the MH17 crash site. So we've just moved just a couple of meters from where we found the pieces of the aircraft, and here we have found what is quite likely human remains from one of the passengers of MH17. This area here contained many small fragments of human bones after the plane came down because the inferno was so hot. It broke down many of the bones into small fragments, and this whole land here was scattered with small pieces of bone. And here's what is quite possibly a piece of bone from one of the passengers from MH17. We can't tell for sure because we don't have a laboratory here to test it, but that's why the Dutch authorities need to come here and collect everything that could be parts of the plane and remains of the passengers. Why hasn't it been done yet? 3 years on, and there's still pieces of the plane and what could quite possibly be remains of the passengers here. It needs to happen. And we've just found these two ball bearings, or something that appears to be similar to ball bearings in an encasing. On the side of both, it says Lucas Western Incorporated with a serial number of S451W151-2. And it's the same serial number on both. So possibly this is part of the plane as well. I would think if it's in English, so it would make sense that it's not local here. We'll just leave this where we found it. Here's a piece possibly from the fuselage. It's got some insulation attached to it. I'm not an expert, but it has char marks and many rivets and screws. And it's in an area where there's lots of parts of insulation of the plane, which we can clearly tell. I've been here, several times over the last 3 years, and this is definitely part of the plane installation. And here is a piece of the plastic with the honeycomb in there, which identifies it very easily. And here's some more of this honeycomb, and all that is definitely part of the plane. And here in this garage, they were using this area to store parts of the plane and some remains of bodies. And here it is 3 years after the fact, and no one has come to take all of these, all of this evidence and these fragments of the plane back to help with the investigation, or just to do a complete cleanup of the crash sites and remove everything and remove any possible human remains that are still here. So what we found here right now is definitely bone. It's not clear if it's human remains or not, but we're in an area that contains a very big amount of scraps from the plane, and this area, as I said before, was used to store some of the human remains and plane materials after the crash. And human remains were found here just about 7 months ago. So there's a good chance this is some of the human remains of a passenger on MH17. And it's a big question why there hasn't been a real investigation here and to find all of the remains of the plane and the passengers. This could very well be a piece of one of the passengers that was killed when the plane was shot out of the sky on July 17, 2014. And the question needs to be asked, why haven't the Dutch authorities come and collected all of the remains? 3 years later and they haven't done it yet? What is the problem? Why is it taking so long? So this seems that it could have been the cover to maybe a switch or something like this, maybe a switch guard. And it's as well here in this garage. So it's just, more evidence that everything hasn't been collected here. The job hasn't been completed here. The Dutch authorities have not collected all of the evidence here, or quite possibly all of the human remains. Right now, we want to give the Dutch authorities an exact idea of where these remains of the plane and possible human remains are. So we're going to give them a bird's eye view. So we've searched this garage. We found many pieces of MH17 and possible human remains of the passengers that were on MH17 that lost their lives here when the plane was shot out of the sky. These remains and parts of the plane still haven't been recovered. Someone needs to come and recover this. It's not a secret where these parts are. You can see where these parts are here in the village of Garavava. We keep finding more and more pieces of the plane, and even now we found some belongings. Well, actually a pen that was clearly from the Netherlands, because it says in Dutch language van Nederland, and it has a website 123inkt.nl. It's a Netherlands website. It's clearly some, thing that a company or something prints out to give attention to their and publicize their company. But here it's not doing any more publicity. And this is just more of the things that are still here at the site 3 years on. And as well, out here we've found this seat identifier, number 35. I don't think there's anyone that could doubt that this is from MH17. It's row number 35, seat K and J. So This is something that definitely needs to become and needs to be collected by the authorities. The Dutch authorities need to actually do a real collection and make sure they've collected all of the human remains. Even just 7 months ago, there was some journalists from the Netherlands that came here and collected parts to take back to the Netherlands, and apparently they were arrested at the airport, and their equipment was seized by the Netherlands police for taking things from the MH17 crash site, which is, of course, definitely not a good thing. You don't want to take anything. We never take anything. We leave everything the way it sits, but someone needs to come and take it. The proper authorities need to do something about this. This has been 3 years, and there's still a seat identifier here. I mean, how can this be? 3 years after a plane was shot out of the sky, this hasn't been collected yet. It's not like this is active war here. We're many kilometers away from the front line. There hasn't been shelling here in about 2 years. This is a normal working village now. There's no danger here. So someone needs to come and collect this. Just do it.
Запустите дрона на заказ.
So this has been a day here at the MH17 crash sites. We've investigated the area as we do every year, and we've done dozens of times since the day that MH17 was shot out of the sky. I brought you reports here the day it happened, just hours after it happened, and I brought you many reports since then. This area was devastated by the MH17 plane when it was shot out of the sky. 298 people lost their lives here. We have shown you how there's still pieces of the plane here. We've showed you how there's possible human remains still here. The investigation has not been done properly here. The things have not been collected. 3 years on and it still hasn't happened. When is the Dutch authorities going to collect the remnants of the plane and what could possibly be human remains? Is it ever going to happen? 3 years on and it hasn't happened. We need to remember what happened here. The people that lost their lives here.